Welcome to the Breeder's Brew, dog breeding podcast hosted by me, Isobel, the canine nutrition coach.
And me, Sara, the canine family planner.
Together, we'll be promoting responsible breeding by unpicking the minefield of breeding myths and methods for owners wishing to expand their whelping wisdom.
Welcome back. Hello again.
Have you missed us?
It's been a whole 24 hours. No, I haven't. Or actually, maybe I have. We're only been doing short episodes this time. Maybe you're desperate for a bit more of us in your ear hole.
So, day 5. If we're not still intoxicated from the brandy of our Christmas pudding, if we're not in I don't know is it a cheese coma? What do you have? You get meat sweats when you have too much of and I don't know what the cheese thing is. I'm not a cheese fan, but if you're
love a good bit of cheese. Can't comment on the meat sweats, but love a bit of cheese.
You're being vegetarian, vegan.
Vegetarian. Crikey, I need vegetarian. Come on.
I was like, no, what is she? Yeah, meat sweats is definitely a thing, but that's only full on meatiness of the meats. So yeah, we're on day 5. What lesson are we going to talk about today?
Well, something that I've had time to really reflect on, actually something we discussed relatively recently, it's worth us probably having a discussion about, is boundaries actually, Sara, because especially with this being the festive period for a lot of you, I don't know about everyone else, but I feel like I am being torn in a million different directions of just trying to see everyone, make sure that all my family feel loved and my dogs have the care they need, and it can be really tough to be in enough places at once and sort of fulfill all the duties that I feel need my attention. And I think having clear boundaries, whether that be in your personal life, work life, breeding life, dog life, are just so powerful, because I feel like it's a way of, like, I said it to you the other day, I call it the term of protecting my peace, and it's something that I am definitely going to be focusing on in 2026. I want to start protecting my peace more, because I've realised that life will be turbulent, it is chaotic, it can't be predicted, and you will get curveballs and things will go wrong, and the only thing that I have control over is how overstretched I am, how many spoons I have left at the end of the day, how exhausted I am, whether my health conditions are getting better, whether they're getting worse, and whether I'm actually managing my own life in the best way. So boundaries is something that totally comes into that, because that's the only way that I can sort of protect my peace and protect my tomorrow. Boundaries, I just think that's going to be my resolution.
I feel that I'm better than most people with boundaries, because I quite happily just say no to stuff. I think sometimes that's some people just struggle not agreeing with a plan that they don't want to agree with, so then they end up getting washed along with it. What's that saying about even dead salmon swim upstream or something, isn't it? I can't remember. There's a
even
saying, but basically, say that again.
Even dead fish go with the flow.
Yes, yeah, that's the one. And yeah, I think it's quite easy to become that passenger along in other people's lives. And the same with dog breeding. So yeah, generally I'm quite a good person. If I'm not interested, I'm not going, and I'll just tell you, I won't even pretend that I'm going to go and then let you down last minute, because I think that's out of order. I'm just a person going, that sounds great if you want to do that. That's not for me, so I won't be there. Don't be offended. But still, like, life is busy, and still trying to fit everything in a sensible amount of time is quite difficult. So then boundaries still get crushed. What I've learned, whenever I've felt uncomfortable, I think sometimes I don't even know what it is, but whether it's pressure, whether it's stress, whether it's not enough hours in the day, it's normally because I haven't communicated to somebody what my boundaries are. And then, so I can't blame them because I haven't told them. And if you don't tell people, of course, they're just going to trash over everything. So from a business point of view, I'm quite strict on what my communication channels are. So pretty much I only deal with work inquiries through email or through phone, whether that be calls or texts. And any other channel that comes outside of that, whether it be like WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, personal Facebook messages, all that kind of stuff, I actively filter everybody through into the same path, which is annoying because while you're doing that takes time. You're taking a step back before you can take 2 steps forwards. But then what you're kind of doing is training them, whoever that person is, you're training them to say, no, that's not appropriate. This is how you contact me. Or I don't like it this way. This is how I do it. And never more does that need to happen when you're breeding dogs and you're busy keeping all your dogs alive, keeping all your puppies healthy and happy, keeping everybody fed, as well as getting yourself dressed and functional in the morning, as well as looking after your kids. And if you've got family, and making sure that that's all done, to have a puppy inquiry just want to trash all over your boundaries, you need to set them. So for me, it's a big lesson in, I try and communicate to anyone, this is how I deal with stuff. This is when you expect a response from me. And anything outside of that, I'm not being rude. It's just that that's not the time that I've allocated for that kind of inquiry. And I think likewise with you, Isobel, even with stud inquiries, that you've been quite specific now. You have like a process, I suppose, of what you put people through. So then you know that hopefully it reduces, the questions and the time that it takes up that you spend with that person, but also that everyone gets a consistent information, I suppose, from you.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's, like you said, if I don't have that process and those boundaries in place, I've had it before where people just get my number offline, give us a call, and they could be asking really genuine, really thought-provoking questions and really educated sort of conversation that I want to engage in, but I'd find, like, I could easily find myself chatting dogs hour, 2 hours. Obviously, we chat dogs for a living, like it's what we love. So it snowballed again to the point where if I was getting called on a Sunday evening when actually I needed to be protecting my peace and making sure I was well rested for the week, and instead I'm on the phone for an hour and a half, that phone call has kind of taken me away from a more important part of my life. For somebody that actually may have never had any intention of proceeding with their breeding journey any further with me or my help, they might have just known that I was a good source of information and kind of got like a free 4 hour, like a free full 4 times length consult out of me at like 9 o'clock at night on a Sunday. I don't allow consult calls to be booked on a Sunday because that's my day off, and like that's when I'm protecting myself. So it's like, it's just been interesting seeing how I never thought I would need boundaries in place being a stud owner, but I now have realised I do. Otherwise it does implicate my family life and my home life. So that's been a massive lesson learned this year, and like you said, I hope it's to the benefit of the bitch owners as well, because I now know loads more information about them before I even pick up the phone and have the conversation, because they've provided me a ton of information through a vetting form, which means I can give them more personalised advice when we're actually speaking, because I'm not having to ask all the questions. And I also know whether they are in a position really to proceed with the breeding journey, and whether or not that I'm the right fit for them and they're a right fit, vice versa. And I can save a lot of conversation and any wasted time for anyone. You know, if they fill in the vetting form, actually they don't really look like they're in the right position to proceed with the breeding journey because of X, Y and Z reasons, or maybe they've not considered how time challenging it's going to be and they work full time, then that's just hugely beneficial that I can just tell them straight away, look, do you know how much time breeding actually needs and requires? And you're not going to be able to do this and enjoy this and keep your girl safe if you work full time. That's a 5-minute conversation. Whereas before, we could have been on the phone for a full hour before I even found out that they worked full time, and that we've gone round all the houses, hour and a half later, to then say, actually, do you know what, breeding isn't a good idea. So I just feel like the level of help I'm able to give people is also hugely improved, and I'm giving everyone like a fair chunk of the pie. Like, I'm giving everyone a fair piece of me. Like, I'm not giving somebody 2 hours on the phone just because they called me at a really convenient time, but then because somebody else has inquired at 10 o'clock on a Monday that really doesn't suit me, that they're only getting 2 minutes of my time. Like, that's not how this works anymore. So I just feel that by putting a process in place and establishing those boundaries, e.g. if you'd be interested in using my stud, you must complete a vetting form, then we can have the conversation. It sets those expectations, and they're not trying to call me at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night before they filled in the vetting forms. Highly recommend it to anyone with a stud dog, and have a think about actually if inquiries and cries for help and advice are starting to impact on your personal life and your boundaries. If you haven't set those out, then how does the bitch owner know that they're crossing them? So I definitely recommend having processes in place to anybody. I just think it's so helpful because it gives you the confidence to vocalise how you expect something done if there is a process.
And also it becomes apparent when you get someone that you're like, oh, this feels off, this doesn't feel right. And when you normally reflect on it, it's most likely because you haven't put them through your process of how you deal with that type of inquiry. So then it just emphasizes to you more. That really does work. So I need to make sure that I do that all the time for everybody, because it's easy to slip into habits, and you say you accidentally pick up the call because you thought it was somebody else and now you're on the phone. And rather than saying to them, yeah, that's cool, I can totally help you, but first of all, you need to fill out the form. And then we'll get back to you and we'll book something in. You end up having an hour conversation that you've just wasted of your time, because then you never hear from them again or whatever. Once you've tried to put, and it does, all of this takes a little bit of effort and a little bit of time, but you just do something and then just keep tweaking and improving it, rather than you wanting it to be perfect from the beginning, because that's impossible. When I think about my email series that I have for any of my puppy inquiries, which I think now is probably like 25 emails long, maybe even longer. That didn't start off that way. It started off with 2, then it grew to 3, then it grew to 7, and then it to 14, and then to 21, and then I had to rewrite them all again because stuff had changed, and now they're a masterpiece. No, they're not a master. Even now they're not right. I still had someone message, oh, that link's broken. Oh yeah, you're right, because actually I've gone and totally changed my website to make that even better, and I hadn't updated my emails and all that kind of stuff. So it is a constant improvement. But what it means now is that I have like over 1,000 people on my email list for my bulldogs, and they're not puppying. Well, they're people interested in bulldogs and the breed and puppies, but it's not a vetted wait list in any way, shape or form. But what it means is that I can instantly send an email to 1,000 highly engaged people about something that I'm doing or something that they need to know, and they're going to benefit from it. And of that, there are a percentage that have gone on to fill out my vetting form, that a smaller percentage have passed that, and a smaller percentage of that have left a deposit, and a smaller percentage of that are puppy owners. So it all works because I'm educating them about the breed. But yeah, like no one can just ring me up, as Isobel knows, and go, I want a puppy, how do I get on it? No. Sign up for the email list, because if you get to the end of that, you are the type of person that I want. And if that 80% that fall out of that is fine, you're not for me. That I literally have no problem with it.
That's the benefit of having your process, isn't it? That's the benefit literally of your process, like you said. If people don't respect your process, aka your boundaries you are setting out for them, then it shows that they don't respect you or your time. So why would that then be somebody that you want to deal with, have in your world, invest time, effort, care into? It's like, well, no, respect's both ways. And I think that's why I love having a process, is people end up vetting themselves out when they don't then respect the boundaries in the process, which I think is really powerful.
Yeah, well, that's what you need to understand. Not everyone is for you. You don't need all the stud inquiries. You don't need all the puppy inquiries. If you're doing the right things to attract them in the first place, you don't need all the people you attract, and then you can, a bit like dating, I suppose. You can bin off the ones that you don't like. But yeah, so I think that's the lesson that we wanted to share with you guys, is think about what boundaries do you set. We've given examples for personal life as well as dog life, and dealing with people, and whether it's friends, family and that kind of thing. But just think about, where are your boundaries, and where do you feel that they're most encroached on, I suppose. I think I heard it once explained as like, it's a garden fence, but it's not permanent. It can be different heights for different people, and sometimes you might even have a gate in there to let some people through or not. So you just got to think about, what are the boundaries? Who are the people that I want to go through it? Who are the people that I don't want to go through it? And what can I do? What kind of process can I set up that can do that? And say you don't want it to be overly complex, but if you start simple and then just keep on tweaking and revising it, I guess it would be one of those, like the typical, when people come up with all their New Year's resolutions, maybe you don't come up with New Year's resolutions, you just look at what your existing processes are and you think, how can I improve those? Because that will naturally improve your quality of life and your lifestyle going forward. So it doesn't always have to be reinventing the wheel. Sometimes it's just tidying up what you're already doing.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
That's all I've got to say for this day as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, as I said, that's something I'm taking into 2026, that's for sure, because I just think there is a finite amount of energy, resource and you to go around. And the busier life gets and the quicker the pace picks up and the more political changes we're seeing across the world, it's exhausting. And I just think whether you've got chronic illness or not, it doesn't matter. The whole principle is you have to keep yourself well in order to give your family and the dogs in your life the top level of care, love and support that they deserve. And if you're not well, then everybody else suffers too. So I think the most important thing that you can do for your family and your home and your dogs is keep yourself well. So that's certainly something that I will be working on in 2026.
Start as we mean to go on.
All right, well, hopefully that chat was valuable for some of you, and maybe you might be having a bit of a think about how things can change for you next year. And I'll be certainly going away and reflecting on some other lessons that I've learned this year. And we'll be back again tomorrow.
See you later.
Bye.